I was invited to come and play a little lockdown concert for the Irish Centre. I teach here normally, every Saturday. I teach flute and whistle, traditional Irish flute and whistle. But of course we haven't been physically here, we've been online. So some of the time I was in a house in Cambridge, 2 houses in Cambridge, and then back in London. But the classes have kept going. It's amazing, and that sense of community has kept going, I think, here. But it's lovely to be back in this building. You know, it's lovely to be back in this beautiful building and be back on the old stage. You know, it's very nice. My father's family are from Scariff in County Clare, and his grandparents came over to run a pub in Staffordshire, which was a miners' pub, one of the last working mines in Staffordshire. And my mother is from Birmingham, and they met. My father actually went through World War II. He was a foot soldier in the Irish Guards, and his father had been through World War I. So it's that experience of being Irish in England, you know, during that time, which is quite different, I think, to being back in Ireland or being here later. I think it was a unique time, really. And we grew up. Now my mother plays the piano by ear, and so she would play songs, you know, sometimes for my father, you know, and there would be these songs that he really liked, the old Irish songs. And I have a lot of old songbooks at home that belonged to his family and to his sister, who was a beautiful singer and piano player. And we would have those as children, you know, and just play around with them. I always kind of loved them, but they were really considered uncool, I think. And it wasn't until I got much older and I'd worked in theatre and, you know, I'd done lots of very cool things, and I started getting interested in things that were uncool, actually. And you can sort of see the significance of them in a way, you know. And I think those songs really encapsulate an atmosphere and a nostalgia and a sentiment that's peculiar to that experience in Britain. And like you say, Shay, there is a sweetness to them. There's a real sweetness and a real charm. I've got a few different projects on the go. So I play with a poet called the Racker, and I love doing that. And that's actually when I started bringing the keyboard out to gigs as well. The Racker is, I sort of describe him as Robert Service on acid. He's brilliant. And my job is to provide sort of a brain bath in between, you know, some nice music. And again, those old songs seem to fit that situation very well. And then I've had a duo for a long time with Jay Owen, who's a singer-songwriter, wonderful singer-songwriter. Now he's based back in Limerick now. I was just speaking to him there yesterday. And I'm co-musical director of Celtic Caribbean Crossings, which we do twice a year. That's a big, huge mixture of Arabic and Caribbean and Celtic music. Yeah, and I had a solo album out about 4 or 5 years ago now. That got Arts Council funding to go on a UK tour, and also I went to America with it. I was official showcase performer at the Folk Alliance thing in Kansas. Yeah, and I was in Argentina last year doing solo concerts. So I'm trying to work on developing a solo act. It's a journey for me because my background was theatre, actually. So I worked a lot as an actor musician. And that actually, funnily enough, it taught me a lot about music, and theatre taught me a lot about performing, I suppose, but not in the way that people think sometimes. You know, when you teach a lot, people often say teaching is acting, but it really isn't. It's the opposite, I think. Mm-hmm. You know, I think acting is letting something come through you, and music is also that, you know. And I trained in physical theatre. I wouldn't say I was very good at it because I'm very clumsy, actually, naturally. But it gave me a feel, maybe it, you know, let me relax, perhaps, you know, I suppose, on the stage, perhaps. Hello, I'm Jacquelyn Hynes. I'm delighted to be back at the Irish Cultural Centre. I've been missing coming here every week to teach the flute and whistle classes, but we've been having a great time online, learning loads of new tunes, and we'll be doing that throughout the summer. And working on these, the Culture Hotline concerts has given me a chance to revisit some very old songs, which I'll talk about in a minute. The little concert I'm going to do for you today has a sort of a sea theme, so we're going to be out on the ocean, and there are lots of beautiful little birds flying around in the air. So I'm going to start off with a beautiful slow air called Our on the Lower, the Song of the Books. So the story of this air is an Irish poet called Thomas Rua O'Sullivan lost his position as a school teacher, and he was fortunate to get another position, but he was too poor to transport his fantastic library to his new position, so he put all his wonderful books in a ship which crossed Valentia Harbour. And he travelled with a horse and a bundle. He put his clothes in a bundle every night and curled up by the fire. And then one night there was a huge storm, and the ship sank with his beautiful library, and all his books were lost to the waves. And the same night, a spark leapt out of the fire and set fire to his clothes. So he was left with literally nothing. But he wrote this beautiful song, Our on the Lower. Okay, that's Our on the Lower. And now, this is a song about a sailor, continuing the sea theme. And the sailor in this song is called William. And it occurred to me earlier, we have our own lovely William here at the Irish Centre in Hammersmith. So this is dedicated to our lovely centre manager, Will. Okay. As I walked out one evening so fair, it being summer to take the air, I spied a female and a sailor boy, and I stood to listen, and I stood to listen to hear what they might say. He said, "Fair maid, why do you roam? The day it is on, the night is on." She heaved a sigh, and the tears did roll. For me dark-eyed sailor, for me dark-eyed sailor, who roams the stormy seas. 'Tis 7 long years since he left this land. The ring he took off his lily white hand, one half the ring is still with me, but the other's rolling, but the other's rolling at the bottom of the sea. He said, "Can't you drive him out of your mind? Another young man you surely will find. Love turns aside and cold does grow. like a winter's morning, like a winter's morning. The hills are white with snow. She said, I'll never forsake my dear, although we are parted, for many's the year. For gentle, oh, was he not a rake like you, to induce a maiden, to induce a maiden to slight the jacket's blue. Then half of the ring did young William show. She ran distracted in grief and woe, saying, William, oh William, I have gold in store for me dark-eyed sailor, for me dark-eyed sailor who has come home once more. There is a cottage by yonder lea, the couple live there and do agree. So maids be true when your true love's at sea, for a cloudy morning, for a stormy morning brings on a summer's day. Okay. All right, and now we're going to, I'm going to play a couple of slides. So I keep saying we because I'm used to playing with a band. So me and my whistle are going to play you a couple of slides. And these are really pretty little tunes that Karen Ryan sent through to the centre for us to teach our students. So we had lots of tunes in common, but I've been nicking them and using them for my own purposes ever since because they're so nice. And I think she got them from the fiddle player Brian Rooney. So the first one is on Bucoline, the little boy, and the second one is An Hosea. And yeah, this is one of the songs I was looking at while we were doing the Culture Hotline concerts. And I don't know if you can see this. This is a photocopy. But I've always loved the cover of this. I think it's very evocative and atmospheric, and it sort of speaks to an era and a time of when my grandparents would have come over from Clare to run a miners' pub in Staffordshire. And I think a lot of the songs that were popular here would have been regarded as maybe a little bit too sentimental in Ireland. But it's something to do with the pull back to your parent country and nostalgia, I think. And this, I don't know, I think it's a beautiful little song, made famous by Delia Murphy, who famously, well, the story was she was a shop girl in Dublin and then plucked from obscurity, had a beautiful voice. Okay, If I Were a Blackbird. And I love these old arrangements, actually, I have to say as well. Piano-wise, they're really pretty. You can even hear the blackbird, I think, in this one. I am a young maiden, and my story is sad. For once I was courted by a brave sailor lad. He courted me truly by night and by day. Now he has left me and gone far away. If I were a blackbird, I'd whistle and sing, and I'd follow the ship that my true love sails in. And in the top rigging, I'd there build my nest, and I'd pillow my head on his lily white breast. He promised to take me to Donnybrook Fair, to buy me red ribbons to tie up my hair. But I know that someday he'll come back o'er the tide, and then he will make me his own loving bride. If I were a blackbird, I'd whistle and sing, and I'd follow the ship that my true love sails in. And in the top rigging, I'd there build my nest, and I'd pillow my head on his lily white breast. My parents, they chide me and will not agree that me and my sailor boy married should be. But let them deride me and do what they will, while there's breath in my body, he's the one I love still. If I were a blackbird, I'd whistle and sing, and I'd follow the ship that my true love sails in. And in the top rigging, I'd there build my nest, and I'd pillow my head on his lily white breast. And I'd pillow my head on his lily white breast. Okay, so we're going to move on to the Irish flute now, and I'm going to play you a lovely slow air, Shlíomh Galcua. Okay, and I'm going to follow that with 2 jigs with a sea theme and a bird theme, so Out on the Ocean and then Lark in the Morning. getting close to the end of being out on the ocean and flying around with the birds. So I'm going to sing you another very old song. And this song is unusual in that it was written by a female songwriter. Actually, there were quite a lot of female songwriters in this period. And this lady, Eilish Boland, it turns out is the mother of a great friend of mine who's a great friend on Facebook, which we're all spending a lot of time on at the moment, called Brona Long. And Brona sent me some of her mother's songs, and this is one called Doonery. Okay. If you ever go to Ireland, I'm sure you will agree to take the road to Dublin town, way down to Doonery. When you find the wishing well beyond the chestnut tree, in a shady nook by a winding brook, will you make this wish for me? Oh, to be in Doonery with the sweetest heart I knew, to stroll in the shade of a leafy glade where the rhododendrons grew, to sit with my love in the bridge above the rippling waterfall, to go back home, never more to roam, is my dearest wish of all. If you take the hilly path to the wood where bluebells grow, where we as barefoot children played so many years ago, you'll find the slumbering castle there, entwined in mystery, beneath the smell of a wishing well. Will you make one wish for me? Oh, to be in Doonery with a sweetheart I once knew, to stroll in the shade of a leafy glade where the rhododendrons grew, to sit with my love on the bridge above the rippling waterfall, to go back home, never more to roam, is my dearest wish of all. Oh, to be in Doonery is my dearest wish of all. Okay, thank you. Right, and for my very last piece, it's interesting what being in lockdown forces you to do. So I'm going to accompany myself for this piece. I've just got to readjust the key again. There we go. And there we go. So this is a wonderful piece by Taylor O'Carolan, Shebeg Shema.
again. Thank you very much. It's been lovely being here.